late last year, we had an awesome interview with Lieutenant General Russell Honore. Mm-hmm. And he said the landscape has changed so much. It used to be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. Today, it's, if it ain't broke, break it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing with Smart Recruiters right now. You are meeting the market because the old style ATS needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you do that? I mean, everybody looking at it's like, yeah, no, I get it. But that you took time to actually come to that decision. What led to that?
Yeah. Well, I'm a product leader.
Yeah.
I spent my entire career building applicant tracking systems. And I woke up one morning, and maybe it was when I became a CEO, maybe it was when I became a CPO, and I had to hire, and I hated using my own product. I'm just gonna, like, I think it's a good product. I think that it checks all the boxes. It's highly configurable. It has a good candidate experience, much better than what I've seen from others. But as a product leader, I'm out to deliver a very specific outcome, and that's to make hiring easier. Mm-hmm. And I think over the last decade or so, it's gotten a lot harder. We just added more on top of more.
Why?
I think maybe because customers figured that if they added a button here, or if they allowed you to filter a list this way, then suddenly that problem would be solved.
And it created feature bloat.
For sure. And it created a lot of transition in the market. People, if they didn't get the features they wanted from someone, they just went and bought someone else because they figured that they had that feature, only to find out that they were missing 5, 6, 7 of the other features
that they used.
That they were using in the other one. So people are moving around. They're spending an unbelievable amount of money, expecting someone to be the silver bullet. And then we have AI, and this becomes a much bigger conversation, especially in B2C technology.
Yeah.
And in the B2B world, there's a little bit of fear, regulation. What is this going to do? Is it going to come after my job? And the reality is that that could be the silver bullet to actually solving the problem that we're here to solve, which is to make hiring easy. But if you're going to go and implement that, you kind of have to go all the way. You can't just, I think we call it like sprinkling fairy dust on a product and hoping that, you put this little like job description generator and that's going to be sufficient. Mm-hmm. I mean, recruiting is 80% administrative. Like, it shouldn't be. When everyone started hiring, I was saying this to my team the other day. I walked into a store. I said, I'm interested in working with you. They interviewed me. They asked me some questions, and I started the next day. There were really only a couple decision points in that workflow. Yeah. Now to hire that for that same job, maybe a pizza delivery driver or a retail store clerk, it takes 10 to 20 hours a week to build a store over the course of 2 months. That's insane. I mean, it shouldn't be that long. And so I think I'm out to solve that problem. I believe in making hiring easy. And I think it's going to take a bold move to get the market to go that direction.
And so talk about the actual change management going from ATS to AI hiring system, right? Talk about how, I mean, because it's hugely different, but you also have a market that is starting to, consumers wise, use ChatGPT on a daily basis. Use Claude or whoever it might be. So is the education to adoption harder or easier, do you think, because of these things happening in the landscape?
So a bunch of points there. So I'd say the transition to recruiting AI company for us took almost a founder-like mindset. We had to take the roadmap we had, that huge list of features that all of our customers gave us, and just go, you know what? Putting it over here to the side, we might burn it. We're not gonna invest there anymore. And quite literally, every single one of my 200 developers pivoted right and suddenly started building AI tech. You just have to learn how to say no and move forward.
Was that easy for them? Because I would think it'd be more exciting.
I think they were shocked that I asked them to do it, if I'm being honest, but they embraced it. It was like, oh, great. This is cool. This is what we want to do next. I think that the customer base was something we were concerned about in that moment, because we had to then say to them, we actually said that Q3 release you thought you were going to get in 90 days, you're not getting anymore. And this is why it's important. And by the way, we need design partners on the AI product, and we would love for you to lean in. You're getting a lot of pressure from your organization to change. This is your opportunity to be a seat at the table in that change.
Yeah.
Come forward, wipe the slate clean, and start talking to us about what you need to do next. And a lot of them leaned in. They raised their hand. They became design partners. We started a trust and safety committee around AI. We got 10 massive brands to come sit at the table and talk to us about exactly what they needed from our AI products. And no one has asked us where our releases are since then. They are seeing product come much faster than they've ever seen. They're testing it. They're open to experimentation. They're giving us feedback faster, and customer satisfaction is increasing. I think once they roll it out to their organizations, they're going to see a couple things. I mean, first and foremost, there's a lot of stakeholders in a hiring process. Hiring managers, interviewers, candidates. All of those individuals are actually very used to using automation every day. You whip out your iPhone, you whip out your Android, you go and use the subway and things like that, or you go and get on an airplane. And there's biometrics and all this stuff. That the consumer experience that we've created in everyday life should be mimicked in B2B technology. And if we do our job right and we bring AI products to market that are consumer friendly, that are personalized, that meet users where they need to be, then theoretically, adoption should be very organic. That experience should be intuitive. You shouldn't need to implement a webinar and a massive user guide that's this big in order to teach people how to hire. And that in itself is a very difficult technical challenge. One of the things I'm sure we'll talk about at some point is adaptive UI and how we should build very personal experiences for every type of user. That is relatively new to B2B tech, but it's at the core of how we're thinking about building this new product. And I'm hoping that that encourages adoption. So simple process, simple to use, and hopefully simple to buy, which I'm sure we'll talk about too. We're really thinking a lot more about consumption so that we can get people to buy in and only pay for the outcome versus having to commit to something they don't know will provide them value.